Welcome back to Rapid Flicks. Today, I will recap a horror, mystery thriller, named The Queen of Black Magic. The movie starts out with a couple, Hanif, and his wife, Nadia, and 3 children. Hanif is an orphan who is raised in an orphanage, from which the owner is sick, and they are on their way to see him. While they are driving, something hits their car and they get out of the car and look around. They spot a dead deer at the corner of the road. While sad about what just occurred, they decide to return back to their car. And as they move on, we are shown a girl who is lying at the corner of the road soaked in blood. They reach the orphanage and Hanif is happy to see his childhood friends. Hanif discovers that most of the children, with the exception of 2, were adopted. These 2 children grew up and remained in the orphanage. Ronnie and another girl show Hanif and his family around the orphanage. Ronnie reveals that she arrived at the orphanage when she was 10 years old and still believes that her mother will return to pick her up from the orphanage someday. She shows them all the rooms. Hanif's son, named Hockey, walks towards a room and tries to open the door, but it's closed. Ronnie tells him that this door has been closed for many years. She starts telling him that a woman used to live in this room and got possessed by a ghost. She would scream and yell and went insane. She tells him that no one was able to control her, so the orphanage management decided to imprison her in that room. The woman started hitting her head on the door, and when they opened the door, she was dead. Hockey gets scared and goes back to his father Hanif. Hanif was also talking about this incident while showing a picture of a woman with a little girl standing next to her. They all have dinner. Hanif goes to his car and is shocked after seeing blood on the front. There was blood on a piece of cloth on his car. Hanif thinks that it was the deer or something else. Hanif and his friend return to the place of the incident. The deer is still there. Hanif's friend discovers a dead girl on the side of the road. They also discover a bus that belongs to the orphanage. They go inside the bus and see that it's filled with deceased children. Surely this was an accident, they think. Shocked by all this, they decide to call the police, but unfortunately, there is a network problem. They agree that they should take the girl to the orphanage with them, because the police station was at a far distance from there. When they reach the orphanage, one of Hanif's friends asks where they came from. He is shocked when he sees the girl in their car. Hanif tells him about the incident. They all get scared. Hanif tells his friend about the bus with the children in it. After Hanif tells him about everything, his friend says that he will go there to see for himself. He goes to the road and enters the bus. He sees that the children are not dead but are standing, and before he goes near them, they turn around. He is terrified. But before he can escape, the door locks and traps him on the bus. He tries to open the windows to escape. When he turns around, the kids on the bus start to move. He suddenly steps on an egg filled with insects. The insects crawl over his body and enter through his mouth and he dies. In the following scene, we see a woman with a knife and an apple in her hands. She's looking at herself in the mirror. She thinks that she is fat, and while looking in the mirror she starts cutting her flesh off. It seems that this woman is possessed. In another scene we see a woman sleeping on her bed, when suddenly centipedes fall on top of her and go inside her body. She starts to feel them crawl under her skin and panics. Meanwhile, the husband of the woman arrives on the scene. He gets scared after seeing her and asks if she is okay. The woman comes back to her senses. She sees her wounds, panics and faints. The husband screams for Hanif. Meanwhile, the woman who has the worms within her body starts to vomit blood. The worms come slithering out of her mouth. She starts to peel off her skin to try and get the worms out of her body. Hanif's wife drives the car, taking them to a hospital so they can find out what is happening to them. But something strange is happening. They started driving towards the hospital, but they keep coming back to the orphanage. It seems that their path has turned into a loop, repeating over and over again. It's here that Hanif tells his wife that the caretaker of the orphanage was an evil woman who used to practice black magic. She sacrificed 3 children. Hanif and his 2 friends have seen it happen, but managed to escape. One of them was his friend who got killed on the bus earlier. Hanif says that it might be possible that the caretaker is still after them. He also tells her that the owner of the orphanage had also come to know about her magic, so he ordered for her to be imprisoned in her room. Hanif says that he and his friends have never told anyone about this. Hanif explains to his wife that after the caretaker died, they buried her body in the floor of her room. Meanwhile, we see Hanif's eldest son who is still in the house. He is possessed, and starts to staple his mouth shut with a stapler. The youngest son Hockey is playing a video game when he suddenly sees a demon girl. Scared, he runs to his older brother, but his older brother is possessed and tries to shoot Hockey with a shotgun, but it doesn't hurt him because it is a gun for shooting rats. Meanwhile, Hanif and his wife arrive at the orphanage. They plan to take the kids and run, but they can't find their children. Then Hanif's wife goes to the room of the owner. He is lying on his bed sick. She looks under his bed and finds a box there with some photos in it. They are pictures of girls, and after seeing them, it becomes clear that the owner wasn't a good person at all. He would beat and abuse the girls. This is where we come to learn that the caretaker of the orphanage wasn't actually evil, but a good woman. She wanted to save the girls from the owner, but to conceal his secret, the owner fabricated the story of her being evil and possessed and brainwashed the children into thinking the same. The owner ordered the children to lock the caretaker up in her room, where she was later killed and buried. They start to question the killings. Ronnie suspects that the owner abused the caretaker, and that she's taking her revenge out on everybody because of her brutal death. Meanwhile, the girl whom they thought was dead after colliding with Hanif's car has woken up. They ask her what happened to her and her classmates. She explains that they were all going on a picnic when suddenly a woman in a black dress came on the bus, and that when she came on the bus all the children got possessed. She tells them that she didn't get possessed because she wore headphones on her head and didn't hear her spells. She tells them that she escaped and in a way towards the fields where she got struck by a car. Hanif is enraged after finding out that the caretaker wasn't evil. He starts regretting his actions. Enraged, Hanif grabs the owner, but his wife stops him. He finds a photograph with a name written on it. The photo is of the caretaker and a little girl. Hanif starts to realize something. Just as they are about to run away from the orphanage, a lady in a black dress stands in front of them. She attacks them with black magic, and while she is about to choke Hanif, Nadia, Hanif's wife who was about to attack the lady in the black dress, gets hit from behind by Ronnie. It's here that we find out that Ronnie is the daughter of the caretaker, who is the woman wearing the black dress. With the help of her magic she starts inflicting pain on everybody. In the orphanage we see the room where the caretaker was buried filled with candles. The witch is preparing for a ritual. Hanif's wife asks the witch why she is doing this. Hanif's wife says that she understands her taking revenge, but asks her why she killed the children on the bus. The woman says that it was for the better, and that if they would have lived in the orphanage, they would also have been abused. It's good that I killed them. She tells Hanif's wife that if she kills her husband, that she will let her and her children go. Hanif's wife can't do it. Meanwhile, one of the sons stabs the witch. While the witch is distracted, Hanif's wife cuts her neck. Her head detaches from her body, but the witch attaches her head back on. The witch gets ready to attack again, but Hanif's wife throws one of the candles on her. She starts to burn. The witch dies along with Ronnie, her daughter. This puts an end to the possessions. They make their escape. The owner tells them to run while he remains in the room and burns to death. In the next scene, a few days have passed. Hanif's wife is taking their children from school when she spots the lady in black from the rearview mirror. Hanif's wife gets out, but the woman is gone. The movie ends here. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more rapid flicks.